Classic. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Evans. You know, I can't think of a single motorsport series in all the world where every major manufacturer comes out to play. And in AMA Superbike racing, there's a total of 6 of them. Of course, there's Kawasaki that won here at Loudon in 1990 with Doug Chandler, then Scott Russell winning 91 through 93. Suzuki has enjoyed some success in New Hampshire with 3 different riders winning on their mark from 1987 to 89. Honda last won here in 1986 and preceded that with 2 victories in 85 and 84. Interestingly enough, Yamaha has never won here at Loudon, even though they have enjoyed great success in the series. Then, of course, there's the all-American Harley-Davidson's 2 competitive machines with the 60-degree V-twin design. And, of course, there is the Italian-made Ducati. You may remember they won here at Loudon 1 year ago with Australian Troy Corser at the controls. In fact, Ducati went on to win the season-long championship. But in 1995, there's a little different flavor. The Honda, since Daytona, have found a lot of power. In fact, are leading the points. But they took a big blow here Friday in qualifying when their #1 rider fell hard. Ralph Shaheen is with him on the grid.
One of the most feared motorcycles on the AMA trail this year has been this number 23 Honda of Mike Hale. Unfortunately, not this weekend. A bad practice crash on Friday resulted in a punctured lung and a broken rib. How are you feeling? Are you going to be able to survive here in New Hampshire?
Well, I've been taking care of myself, following what the doctors told me to do all day, all weekend. So we're going to get out here, do my best to do the best I can out here on the Smoking Joe's Honda and get some points so we can leave here with the championship lead still.
Steve, that is the big key for Mike Hale. He needs to get those points to stay out front. Let's check up front on the front of the grid with Steve Evans now.
15 years ago, a lean young lad from Louisiana came to Loudon with a Honda, and darned if he didn't win the Classic. In the next 15 years, he gained 3 World Grand Prix championships and the nickname Fast Freddie Spencer. Well, Freddie is back, and he's on the pole on a Ducati. You feeling all right? Tell us about yesterday. You got off. We're going to show that video. What happened?
Well, I just got through setting fast time, and we've been really working on getting the rear suspension slowed down to where it wouldn't do what it did, which is when it broke away kind of off throttle. And I was able to kind of recover, but I ran out of room and had to lay the bike down. But, you know, I'm fine. The bike is okay.
You won a race earlier this year in Laguna. Conditions couldn't be different.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the main thing we've been working on the Fast by Ferracci Ducati in the last 3 races is getting the bike to work in dry conditions. And it's really good this weekend. You know, we set on the pole, and it couldn't be better. Of course, we won the race in the rain at Laguna Seca, but it's a big turnaround.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you very much.
And next to Freddie is yet another Fast by Ferracci Ducati. This is Mike Smith. And next to him is, lo and behold, Thomas Stevens on a Suzuki. Now, Thomas, he may not be feeling quite as well as Freddie Spencer. He, too, got up yesterday. Let's have a look. It happened on the very last lap of Superbike qualifying. Thomas Stevens and Dale Quarterly going for it. Each had a different line into turn number 1. Both were down. It appeared as if maybe they didn't even see each other.
The bike can be fixed. That's a good thing. And my shoulder's sprained a little bit, but it's not gonna slow me down come tomorrow.
Quarterly's motorcycle also has been repaired, and he seemed to think, hey, it's racing.
He seems to think I pinched him off. I kind of think what happened was, not that I pinched him off, but that I take a real low entry up there and he takes a real high entry, and I think we just, you know, he thought I was going to really open up, and I opened up enough for myself, but we just, you know, wrong place, wrong time.
But today on the grid, starting 10th, is Dale Quarterly, long and lean, one of the ultimate privateers in the world of Superbike racing. Here's Ralph Shaheen.
For Rob Muzzy this year, the big green bike sits an all-Canadian team. Pascal PICOTTE sits 9th in the points, the French-Canadian. And right behind him, and another row back, the number 14 of the other Canadian from the West Coast, Steve CREVIER. He's really a pit bull in his riding style. It's hard to shake him loose. He has 11 Canadian national championships, including 4 on a Superbike. There is another Canadian in the field, and he's really on a tear. His name is MIGUEL DUHAMEL, and he's won 2 races already this year.
Harley-Davidson has a trio of riders, all 3 very familiar with the mark. Chris Carr, who qualified 15th, coming out of the dirt track wars a few years ago, as did Doug Chandler. Chandler, however, last year was on the World GP Tour, but the factory ride Kajiva, well, they kind of cashed in their chips, and he came back without much to do here. Scott Zampak has won for Harley-Davidson in the street stock 883 class, but nobody has won on the big Supersport bike, and this is their 2nd season.
Freddie Spencer's bike comes to life as they use a trick little starting device here for the Big V twins. Mike Smith's Ducati ready to rumble. We're waving them off here. They're going out on their sighting lap. We'll be back for more from Loudon after this.
Classic, the Superbike's on what they call the sighting lap. No one's really sure why they call it that. It's a European term and we adopted it. Makes it sound like we know what we're doing. On the front row is going to be Freddie Spencer on that Ducati, Mike Smith, likewise Ducati, Thomas Stevens on the Suzuki, Pascal PICOTTE on a Kawasaki, their top qualified rider there.
You know, there's going to be one name missing here as we take a look at row 2, and that is the name of Jamie James, the Yamaha rider, the Vance and Hines team leader. Broke a bone in his wrist at the last round at Road America. He will not be here at Loudon.
You know, for 1995, the AMA took the weight break away from the pushrod twin-cylinder motorcycles, the Ducati and the Harley-Davidsons. A lot of people thought maybe that'll slow them down. It certainly didn't in qualifying here as they occupied the top 2 spots.
We talk about the privateers. One name we don't mention a whole lot, but he is one of the best privateers, is Eric Moe on the number 57 Kawasaki, a veteran campaigner of the AMA Superbike Wars, and a real strong name as you look at some of the rest of the riders. Aaron Yates, we've seen him on American Sports Cavalcade in our 883 races, really picking up the style of riding here on the Superbikes, which is radically different from the 883s, and he's doing a great job as well.
In that we are only about 1 hour south of the Canadian border. Canadian riders have a huge power in numbers in this field, but oddly enough, have never won the Loudon Classic. They did, however, have something to cheer for earlier today when MIGUEL DUHAMEL won the SuperSport 600cc class and goes into this race with not much rest, and it is a very warm day. In fact, look at this, Ralph. Dale Quarterly is over along the pit wall. The bike apparently stalled. They've got it refired, or do they? He'll have to start at the back.
That's really a tough break for Dale. This is his home racetrack as well, so he is always looking to do well here because he has so many friends and family members in the grandstands and standing by. And we're underway, Steve.
Pascal PICOTTE on the far outside of the front row had a tremendous start, and that is PICOTTE in green, about 6 bike lengths ahead as they exit turn number 1.
Look at everybody battling for terra firma here as we work our way through these tight S's. This is really one of the trickiest starts in the season because it's so tight in there.
And here comes Mike Smith, number 68. Remember the injured rider? Tiger Showa, what a start he had. He has blasted from row number 3 into 4th spot.
Right in front of him is Mike Smith, and in front of him is Freddie Spencer. So the Ducati's up to a great start. And look, it's Smith to the inside of Fast Freddie. Mike HALE sits back in 5th place. Boy, what a story of determination and courage that is this weekend.
You know, there's a lot of places you'd rather ride with a broken rib than here. This is a very bumpy track. It has no long straightaways like a Road America or a Brainerd. This is not a good deal for Mike HALE. As you can see, the quick way around is over some of those rumble strips, and how that must hurt.
And when you have a tight track like this, Steve, you're on and off the brake and the throttle, and every time that bike accelerates or decelerates, that's tough on your body. And when you have broken ribs and a partially collapsed lung, that's just the worst injury you could possibly have in a situation like that.
Pascal PICOTTE continues to lead, followed by number 68 Smith. Fast Freddie Spencer, number 19 on the Ducati Tigers. Soa with that great start, and Mike HALE. Talk about playing in pain.
Tiger's going to win an AMA Superbike event before this is all over. The former Japanese national champion is so fast, and he's maturing every year here in America. The tracks are different than they are in Japan. He is mastering AMA Superbike racing. Tiger's going to get himself a win.
Even his English is improving. I had a chat. Well, you can have a chat with him now. Is that gorgeous, Ralph, as they float that front wheel over the hill? Just beautiful.
Mike Smith, textbook as he comes up over the rise. HALE all over the backside of Tiger Soa as they work their way around. This is one of the most spectacular pictures here at Loudon as they come down through the trees.
And if you wonder why you didn't see a lot of people in the grandstands, well, that's not the best place to watch the Loudon Classic. Back in the hills and in the trees where you really can firsthand experience the athleticism that goes into riding these bikes. That's where the crowd is.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best party either, which is where the rest of the crowd is. HALE doing a great job. Oh, look at the rear end dancing around on it. Tom KIPP right on his backside waiting for an opening.
You know, we noticed the crew making some last-minute suspension changes to HALE's bike, and we wondered, well, maybe they're trying to soften it up for him. They say, no, that's not the case. It would make a little bit of sense, though.
They wanted to try to make the bike as comfortable as they could for Mike. He really just needs to survive here today, Steve. And he could come out of here with some points. That would be enough for Mike HALE.
Absolutely. If he could just maintain his current position, he'd be a happy guy. So would his crew.
Tom KIPP, of course, the only Vance and Hines Yamaha rider right behind him. Jamie James with a broken bone in his wrist at Road America, having to miss this round, hopes to be back at the next event, which is at Brainerd.
And everybody a bit concerned about tire wear. There are no pit stops in this race, and you really wonder how much they are extending themselves in the motorcycles at this point. A fairly slow pace being set really by PASCAL, PICOTTE, and nobody too anxious to overtake him yet.
There's Quarterly, the bike underway. Of course, Dale riding on one of the Ducatis this year, a regular on a Kawasaki, but he switched over to the big V-twin this year.
And we should, again, emphasize how warm it is today. In fact, it's trying to set a record set in 1928 of 96 degrees. It's about 92 currently.
This race getting underway late in the afternoon, and because of that heat, Steve, I don't think anybody complained about the late starting time. Everybody was hoping that the sun would dip down behind the grandstands or something to help take some of that heat out of the air.
The second year in a row they've had to contend with it. You got to kind of expect it when you come to Loudon this time of the year.
PASCAL, you see that rear end floating around on the backside. He sits 9th in points, and a lot of people are a little surprised about that. PASCAL was doing so well on the Ducati. He switched over to the Muzzy camp this year, and a lot of people expected him to dominate. And look at Smith, still searching for his first ever AMA National Superbike win. I can't believe I'm saying that. You would have thought Mike Smith would have had dozens of wins by now. One of the hardest chargers to come out of the state of Georgia, which has produced some great racers, including Scott Russell. And Mike Smith still has not gotten his first ever win, maybe today.
A lot of championship riders from that part of the country, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. If you're a Ducati fan, you got a lot to root for. Mike Smith in front on the Italian-made bike. Freddie Spencer in the 3rd spot on a Duke, and Tiger Showa as well. Mike HALE on the Honda is 5th, and in the 2nd position on a Kawasaki, PASCAL PICOTTE.
Here's straight answers to questions about your hearing.
Back to the Loudon Camel Classic for the AMA Superbikers. Ralph Shaheen and Steve Evans with you. PASCAL PICOTTE in 2nd place on the green Kawasaki is under attack from 3-time world champion Freddie Spencer, and he's going to get him.
You know, last year this was a 40-lap race. This year they remeasured the racetrack and found out they should only run 39 laps to cover the same distance. So a lot of laps ahead of these riders in this heat, wrapped in those leather suits, smoking knee pads through that left-hand corner. And again, Ralph, I think it's important to point out that these bikes basically have their roots in street machines.
They do, as Quarterly laps through some of the traffic, trying to make his way up to catch the leaders. He is also on a Ducati. Currently, Steve, he's running in 14th. But this is the epitome of what the manufacturers like about AMA Superbike racing. You have motorcycles that are very similar to what you can find on your dealer's showroom floor. Motorcycles that are out in the parking lot. Yeah, these are as high-tech a racing machine as you can get as we watch Mike HALE continue to fight on that number 23. He has just been passed by Tom KIPP. Here's a look at it at the top of your frame. You see KIPP on the Yamaha get to the inside. Mike takes a nice, easy, relaxed line through there. KIPP takes the position, and Steve's caught up with his dad, who is one of his crew chiefs.
Bob HALE, Mike's dad. You got to be proud of that boy. He has a high tolerance for pain.
He does. It seemed as though the pain had rise to a certain level and not go any further in the warm-ups this morning, so we were hoping for a repeat of that, and that he'd be able to finish the race. That's the best we can hope for right now, but he's doing a good job.
Thanks a lot. We're back up front with Mike Smith and Freddie Spencer, and that is such a great story about Mike HALE and his father Bob. They crisscrossed the country in a box van for years, running from dirt track to dirt track as Mike learned the strategy and the skills that it takes to be one of the best dirt track racers in the business. And now as Mike has moved on to the top factory ride, he's brought his dad right with him.
And his dad and team owner Geraldo Ferracci plenty happy with the efforts of Mike Smith. They show him a time that's just about a second slower that he qualified with in much cooler conditions.
Spencer staying right with him. This has been a great weekend if you're a Freddie Spencer fan, because he has really been on his game this week, and he really might be the guy to keep an eye on here, Steve, because Freddie is so used to so many different temperature changes and variations in the racetrack and so forth. When it comes down to race strategy, Freddie's got all the tricks, and he might be there at the end of this one today.
And I think you can tell how relaxed he was when I talked to him on the grid. Not a nerve in his body. I don't think he uses blood. I think he's got ice water in his veins. And how about that move just then, the blue bike number 16, Tom KIPP passing Tiger Soa. Oh, there's a reason for that. KIPP takes 4th place because Soa has got motorcycle problems. Let's quickly join Ralph Shaheen. He's in the Vance and Hines Yamaha pit.
Tom, it looks like he's running a pretty solid pace. Are you satisfied with it, and when will he really start stepping it up?
I think he pretty much stepped it up already just to catch him. I just hope he doesn't fry his tires making it up.
Steve, that is going to be the big story here. Which tire manufacturer's treads will survive?
Well, Tom KIPP definitely abusing his. He's trying to get around PASCAL PICOTTE for that 3rd spot. Going to do it under braking on the inside. Oh, look at him slide that tire. It made the pass possible, but it won't last forever riding like that.
Boy, that puts a lot of heat in your tires, Steve, and he is around PICOTTE, and he's setting sail. Oh, and Quarterly's down.
This is the day Dale Quarterly would rather forget. It's his home track. He likes to strut his stuff. He's a writing school here at Loudon. Likes to, well, it's good for business if he does well, and today's a disaster.
Frustrating weekend all the way around for Dale Quarterly. The incident with Thomas Stevens, and now this.
The leaders continue to be number 68, Mike Smith, ahead of 19, Freddie Spencer, 16, Tom KIPP. A surprising 3rd place, the lone Vance and Hines rider here at Loudon this weekend with Jamie James hurt.
We mentioned that Mike Smith hasn't won an AMA Superbike National yet. He has won Nationals in the 600 Supersport class. In fact, he almost won the 600 title last year. He was just beat out by Jamie James in that title chase last year.
Oh, they just flicked those bikes around like they weighed absolutely nothing. Amazing. Amazing.
Freddie Spencer sits 6th in the AMA points right now. Had a horrendous beginning to the season at Daytona, clocking in with a 66th place finish. But he does have a win at Laguna Seca, and this is the kind of racetrack where he could get another one at. That's the battle 4th through 9th, Steve.
And that's where all the fans are watching. You got a real dogfight there. 21, PASCAL PICOTTE, followed by Mike HALE on the Honda. 11, Thomas Stevens. 27, Fred Merkel. I thought Merkel might be further up front at this point. But how about Miguel DUHAMEL lingering back there in 8th spot? Behind him, the Canadian, number 14, Steve CREVIER. A little surprised about DUHAMEL, Ralph?
I sure am, Steve. I don't think it's a mechanical problem. I'm banking on the fact that maybe he's just pacing himself. We'll see. Stay with us. We'll be back for more.
With PASCAL PICOTTE, Mike HALE, tremendous job under the circumstances. Thomas Stevens, Fred Merkel, Miguel DUHAMEL, and Steve CREVIER. In fact, there's a nice shot of number 21. That is PASCAL PICOTTE, who had a great start, led the opening laps, and is now falling back just a little bit. A lot of these riders just riding at a pace that's comfortable for them in this brutal heat, with a lot more of this race to go. The heat is hard on motors and also can be hard on brakes. Ralph found out earlier.
On such a tight, twisty racetrack like Loudon, brakes are a key part to being able to go fast. Now, in Superbike racing, you used to be able to run carbon fiber brakes on the front of the bike. They always ran steel in the rear. No longer in 1995. Now it's steel all the way around. And that's a difference of about 4 pounds, and that can affect the handling of a bike like this Suzuki of Thomas Stevens. How big of a difference is that for you in 1995?
Well, it's quite a big difference, Ralph. As far as going from left to right in the turns, it's made quite a difference. With a little bit heavier rotors, we've had to change some offsets and make the bike work a little bit better in the tight stuff.
How about brake feel? Is there a difference there?
Actually, the brake feel is almost the same as far as stopping power. It's just the left to right turns. It's definitely made a difference.
And you especially use them coming downhill, as Mike HALE just did. Number 23, Mike has passed PASCAL PICOTTE for the 4th spot, and Thomas Stevens on the number 11 bike. He goes underneath PASCAL for the 5th spot. I wonder what's going on with PASCAL. I'm sure he's not slowing down on purpose, Ralph.
Well, look at Freddie Spencer. He picks up the lead now, and DUHAMEL gets inside PASCAL.
Miguel DUHAMEL finally making his move, the French-Canadian on the Honda, who, as we said earlier, won a race today, the 600 Supersport. If anybody's tired out there, it's got to be him.
Freddie Merkel had slipped past there as well, so the Kawasaki's now running 8th and 9th. Up front, those 2 Ducatis and a Yamaha, as Thomas KIPP has caught these two. And old Tommy having a really good run here today.
And everyone who's enjoyed this sport for more than 10 or 15 years has to have a soft spot in their heart for Freddie Spencer. The motorcycling press had him done. Why does he retire? Why does he go away? Comes back in 1995, and as you said, Ralph, has won a race already.
Freddie Spencer picking up the win at Laguna. He's got 2 10th place finishes and a 4th at the last round at Elkhart Lake. And I think he is certainly capable of picking up another win or two. Would love to challenge for the championship this year. Sits in 6th. He's about 40 points out of it right now, but anything can happen.
Look how little of the tire they actually run on, especially when they're leaned over to the left or to the right. An important thing with these bikes is to get them upright as quickly as possible, to have more rubber on the pavement where you can twist that grip a little harder without smoking the tire and heating it up.
Centrifugal and centripetal forces play a big part on those tires when they go into the turns like that. They get good traction amazingly with the tire turned sideways like that. It kind of flattens out. If you look in one of the tires, it looks a lot different than your street tire does on your car. The shape of the tire and how it's laid out.
And this is special racing rubber from several manufacturers. Dunlop has kind of been the pace setter in American Superbike competition and has been very quick here this weekend.
And of course, their #1 nemesis is the folks at Michelin. Those are the 2 tire companies that really are challenging in the series. Tom KIPP is tied for 7th in the points with Donald Jacks. His best finish of the season is a 6th place. He's got 3 of those. In fact, the last 2 races at Mid-Ohio and Road America, that's where he's finished.
You can hear in the background the growl of the Harley Davidson. Well, there is Doug Chandler, the highest running Harley rider, and he is in 11th position. But this is not a course for this horse. They would like the longer, more open racetracks, I think.
This motorcycle did real well at Brainerd last year, where a lot of people weren't sure it was going to do that great because of the very long front straightaway, but it did. Oh, and look at KIPP. He got so far up on the backside of Smith that as it came up on that slower rider, Smith got on the brakes and Tommy ran right into the back of him.
And these slower riders are going to be a big obstacle for the guys running up front. A lot of them are club racers from the Northeast and Canada. There is Raymond Bowman, who qualified number 34. He is completely out of this thing with a blown up motorcycle. But traffic is going to be critical. How you handle it is going to determine where you finish now.
Especially as we get later into this with the tires going away, you're not going to have the stopping power that you had at the start of the race, and the handling characteristics of the motorcycle will change dramatically. The riders that can best adjust to that will have the advantage. And there's Quarterly. He's still lapping around out there, and he's about to go down a lap.
That's right. That is Freddie Spencer, the leader, number 19, chasing Quarterly, and a little wary because Quarterly's been having some problems mechanical. He got off the bike once. That's the last thing Freddie Spencer needs, is for somebody to take him out when he's trying to put a guy a lap down. Quarterly looks over, and a true professional moves over and lets him by, kind of.
And kind of, I think, is a pretty good way to say it, because he was pretty tight on him there as they crossed back over into the new section of racetrack. The Bear family buying the facility a few years back. It used to be called the Breyer Motorsports Park. The road course existed here, and for 72 years they've been racing up in this part of the country. But they wanted a Winston Cup date here, so they bought the property. It was already zoned for racetrack, built the oval, and kept the personality portion of the old road course, and built this new infield section to tie up with it so we can continue the tradition of motorcycle road racing in the Northeast.
Here comes number 68, Mike Smith, the second bike in your picture, trying to close in on his teammate, number 19, Freddie Spencer. And I tell you, this makes Geraldo Faraci, the man that owns both those motorcycles, extremely nervous. He'd rather have them separated a little bit. Look at this, flying over the hill, making up a lot of space, is Mike Smith within a bike length.
Rear wheel really dancing around on Mike's machine.
And there's some other teammates battling as well for that 4th position. That is number 17, Miguel DUHAMEL in the Smokin' Joe's Honda. And he is charged past his teammate Mike HALE. And that's to be expected considering the difference in their physical condition right now.
Freddie's got to be careful in there as they do battle with this slower rider here. And that's the number 46 entry of Kurt Dillman out of Victor, New York.
And Kurt, he paid his entry fee. He wants to have a good time in this race. He'll move by if he possibly can. But the best thing he can do in many cases is to hold his line. The faster riders, they'll find a way around you. Just don't do anything unpredictable. So Freddie Spencer and Mike Smith continue to duke it out for 1st and 2nd place.
In 1980, some 15 years ago, Freddie won here on a Honda and would love to repeat again here today. But boy, traffic is really going to come into play. The 166, that's David McGrath. See how Freddie deals with him.
But while Freddie is dealing with McGrath, look on the inside. Yes, Mike Smith takes the lead from Freddie Spencer. The Ducati's still running 1 and 2.
Here comes KIPP now. Are they going to get, they got together. Freddie looked over his shoulder to see who it was. KIPP right there. He's going to get right back on the throttle.
I think Freddie thought about giving him the boot. Just give him the toes. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're in a nightmare.
Huge development. Number 19, Freddie Spencer, running second, has brought his Ducati into the pits. His needs being taken care of by Araldo Faraci, who zips up the leather on the sleeve. His wife trying to fit on the glove. And for Spencer, this is a disaster, because in this kind of racing, if you pit, you lose. The good news for Araldo Faraci, though, is that his man Mike Smith is still out there in the lead on the 68 Ducati, but behind him and challenging is Tom KIPP on the Yamaha. Let's quickly go to Ralph in Spencer's pit.
Well, even something as simple as an ace bandage can ruin your chances in an AMA Superbike National. Freddie had hurt his wrist a couple of days ago. It was a little tender, so he wrapped it with this ace bandage. Apparently a little too tight, and he wasn't able to work the grips the way he needed to with the brakes and the throttle and so forth. So Freddie Spencer had to pit to lose this ace bandage.
Well, we have got a new leader up front, and it is number 16, Tom KIPP on the Yamaha. Remember, Yamaha has never won here at Loudon in Superbike competition. Number 68, Mike Smith, and the new leader, KIPP, encountering lap traffic. That was number 96, Andy Fenwick. But there is the leader, Tom KIPP. His crew told us earlier they were concerned about him overcooking that tire. Let's look at the pass.
Watch as he sets up Mike Smith, waits to see what Smith is going to do, because of Fenwick in front of him. Dives to the inside, forces Smith off of his line, takes the position away, and then he deals with Fenwick quickly.
You know, in that Tom KIPP is missing his teammate, Jamie James, I think he has really risen to the occasion, Ralph. He has assumed the challenge here, so to speak, running all by himself.
Tom is the current AMA 750cc national champion, winning that title last year, and Smith comes right back.
Smith on the low side. Now, what KIPP has to think about is not so much Smith, but what is happening immediately in front of him with lap traffic. That's going to determine where he can take a shot to regain that lead.
They'll start watching number 131, which is Seth Hahn, who's right in front of them. This is a real tough spot to pass it. Oh, boy, that was a daring move by Smith.
Well, I think Tom KIPP saw that and said, oh, man, if he's going to take those kind of chances, maybe I'll have to as well. But instead, he smoothly gets around the lapper. And let's see if he can carry enough speed. Oh, that bike was loose. KIPP may have abused that tire a little bit. We're just past the midway point in this 39-lap race. Let's see who's got the best brakes here.
Mike Smith really upped the ante in that last section through the twist, but Tom KIPP came right with him and matched him. Good drive still out of the corner, Steve. It doesn't look like anybody's having too much trouble getting off the turns. That's number 83, Scott Zampak, on Don Tilley's VR1000 Harley that they'll lap through next. Zampak, one of the top 883 riders. He'll certainly get out of the way of the leaders. Takes a nice wide line, gives them plenty of racing room. National champion in his own right, the 883 class. And we got a rider down hard, Steve.
Boy, we sure do. That is Jeff Reeves, number 56. Hopefully, just as the wind knocks out of him, he's got some good help there. We'll let you know later on exactly his condition. Meanwhile, back to some great racing.
This is the battle for the lead with the Ducati of Mike Smith. And behind him comes Tom KIPP, the number 16. Scott Zampak is running behind them on the Harley, but he is not in this lead. But there is Miguel Duhamel, who is working his way through the field.
This is so typical of Duhamel.
Danny Herbert, our British
hangdog back there, stay in the top 10, pick his way through. We are almost to the halfway point in this race, and I'm sure a lot of pit boards are going to tell the leaders, look out, Miguel is coming.
Tom KIPP, the reigning AMA 750 national champion, a former 600cc national champion, severely broke his leg a couple of years back in just a horrendous crash. Tommy has bounced back from that, is showing his true riding form. A lot of people expect good things out of him. Tip of the hat to Byron Hines and Terry Vance for giving him a shot on this Vance and Hines Yamaha this year.
And as you know, Ralph, there's few sports on the American scene that demand the rider be in top physical condition, or the athlete, I should say, than motorcycling, be it motocross, be it flat track or road racing. The fitter you are, the less likely you are to have an injury, and if you do, the quicker you're going to recover. It's just mandatory that you spend a lot of time in the gym.
Boy, Brian Kent on the 152 was getting a good look at Tom Kipp's riding style as he got lapped through that tight section there. See Tommy's eyes through that smoke-colored screen. About 170 miles an hour through there.
And that is the only straightaway on this racetrack, the only place you really have a chance to relax. Look at Miguel DUHAMEL. He is the quickest bike on this course right now by as much as a full second. And he's got a good, about 19 or 20 laps to go. And you know, just moments ago, Miguel's teammate, Mike HALE, we've told you was riding hurt. That's HALE in the yellow and purple leathers on the left side. Watch this. A broken rib, a bruised lung, and he has this kind of athletic ability. Here's Rob with another hurt rider.
One of the most promising rides of the weekend was Thomas Stevens' day, but yours is over early. How come?
Just got to a point to where my shoulder that I hurt the other day in qualifying, I just couldn't hang on anymore, and I was starting to endanger myself and other guys. So, you know, Team Suzuki will have its day. It just wasn't today, and we'll get them.
Steve?
I believe that. He had a front row start here in Loudon, and obviously his left arm really giving him some pain. Here's the highest place Harley so far in 10th position. That is Chris Carr. And I'll tell you a rider who's given everybody a big pain right now, and that is Miguel DUHAMEL. Working his way through the traffic, a solid third. Just ahead of him, Mike Smith and Tom Kipp. As they see the cross flags indicating we are halfway through this race. Ralph, this will be an interesting time to get an interval from first to third.
Well, there you see the first two bikes come through. Here comes DUHAMEL. Miguel is a two-time 600cc national champion, a former Daytona 200 national champion. He's won quite a bit, spent last year on the Harley Davidson. And now he's back on the Honda, one of Martin Adams' motorcycles, where he had great success in the past, winning the Daytona 200 for Martin.
Now that interval was 5.9 seconds. Miguel is quicker on our clock than either Mike Smith or Tom Kipp, and he's got about 18 and a half laps to go, which means that he can win this thing if he stays out of trouble and his tire doesn't go away.
In a lot of other races, you would think the 18 laps is just the last few. You just put them away. You're into the closing stages. Not so here. This is just the middle section, and look at Kipp on the attack again.
Obviously, Tom Kipp, when this race is over, wants to go to the Vance and Hines transporter, call his boss Terry and said, I told you, you should have come to Loudon. Stay with us.
Percent of the time, these drivers will have their right foot planted. The engines will be at full revs.
Look at the two Jordan boys. They were side by side again. Barrichello down the inside. Eddie Irvine trying to force the issue down the outside. Still, everybody clear. This is chicane number 2. The Ost curve, or the East curve, was blindingly fast in the pass, and one of the Tyrrells is out so early.
Didn't get a look at the helmet colors. I don't know which one it was, but that's a tremendous disappointment for Ken Tyrrell's team with the Yamaha engines that continue to improve, but they have had no luck at all this season. Terminal velocity in excess of 200 miles an hour. And now, after the quiet of the woods, the relative quiet that is, they come rocketing into the stadium section, and the crowd will be on its feet screaming.
The slower stadium section. Look at the packed grandstands. That's the Sachs curve. Bigger gravel traps there. Bigger gravel traps here on the long right-hander, the south curve. Look at the flags wave again. Berger's fourth. Barrichello, then Mika Hakkinen.
And at the front, Damon Hill spins into the gravel and into the tire barrier. The race leader loses it at the beginning of the second lap.
And the crowd goes absolutely berserk. A full view of everything that happens. Damon Hill makes a mistake so early, under pressure.
Crevier, and as we said at the beginning of the show, Steve, Crevier's like a pit bull. He gets a hold of you and he just starts shaking you until you slide by and let him through.
And this is also his birthday. Here's an interval again from first to third. It was 5.9 seconds the last time, 4.5 now. Miguel DUHAMEL is catching him.
This is truly a testament of the folks at the Smokin' Joe's Honda crew, because that motorcycle, the Honda RC45, was not very competitive last year, and they could not get the good parts from the factory. And this crew went out and developed a great motorcycle. Tom Kipp pleased with that move as he gets past Mike Smith and back in the lead.
It was like he looked over at somebody and nodded his head and said, hey, see that? Get a picture of that? Yes, we did, Tom.
Tom is pretty fired up. As we mentioned, he's come back from a lot of injuries. He feels that this ride here with the Yamaha is the best chance he's ever had to win the AMA Superbike title. And we also want to point out that Jeff Reeves, who we saw go down earlier, Steve, is up and doing fine.
That's good news, and also still doing fine, even though now he has to settle for second place. It's Mike Smith. He is not going to let that Yamaha out of his sight. Oh, he's aggressive. Kipp is wrestling that machine around here, doing everything he can to get a quick lap time without abusing the tire any more than he has to, but it is a little bit loose.
One of the most likable riders you'll find in the garage area is Tom Kipp. Mike Smith, on the other hand, as he dances the rear wheel, one of the most driven. When you first meet him, you might think he's a little aloof, but he's very similar to an Alan Kulwicki type of driver or rider. He's a very focused individual when he's at the racetrack, really into his mental game, really concentrating on everything that is in hand. Very deep person, has a lot of things in his mind at the racetrack about what he wants to do with the motorcycle.
But I tell you, Tom Kipp's crew, they are having a good time watching this young man lead with the Yamaha. Potential for Yamaha to win here for the first time ever. I think in honesty, though, they would settle for a podium finish, anything in the top three. But here is Mike Hale and Steve Crevier. They're fighting for that fourth place position, and Ralph, I'm astonished that Mike Hale is still out there. He crashed on Friday. As early as Saturday afternoon, they weren't even sure if he could get a medical release.
Mike Hale is just phenomenal here today. What heart this young man has. He has been tabbed as America's best chance to go back and retake the World Grand Prix title away from the rest of the countries that are challenging for it. Scott Russell is over there fighting for it right now. The future of America's hopes in World Grand Prix Championship racing right now will be resting on Mike Hale's shoulders in the future.
And Mike, along with guys like Doug Chandler and Chris Carr, has proven that the old adage, dirt track riders can't road race, is absolutely false.
This is Mike Hale's first full season of AMA Superbike racing. He did a handful of races last year on the vintage RC30. Did a great job. And now he is battling for the AMA Superbike title in his rookie full season on the RC45. He leads the point standings right now with Merkel right behind him. He's got a 20-point lead over Merkel, and Merkel is not running that great here today. Not only could Mike Hale hold on to the points lead,
can manage to raise the Williams game high enough to challenge or even beat Michael Schumacher, suddenly his season will begin to produce what everybody had predicted and hoped for David Coulthard, because quite honestly, as the season has gone on, he has fallen behind Damon Hill in the speed ranks just a little bit. To be in that superstar category, David Coulthard needs to find a little bit more speed.
45 laps.
well, PICOTTE is not. Steve's with it.
Pascal, you had such a great start. You led the
Urban Network, going out to more than 95 nations around the world. There's been a lot of talk this weekend about changing the qualifying formula in Formula One, specifically for the television audience. The idea is either to combine Friday and Saturday times for a cumulative time that would determine your place on the grid, or make Friday a simple practice day and have one qualifying session on Saturday.
For the next one, in good shape, we're going to see some good results.
That's good sense on your part.
Thank you.
Thomas Stevens and Pascal PICOTTE out due to previous injuries.
It's amazing what a helmet, a good set of leathers, and a back protector will do to allow you to survive life-threatening injuries in motorcycle road racing. However, it can't do anything to cure the bumps, the bruises, and the banged-up body parts you get when you fall off at 170 miles an hour. Nothing but time and rest will bring your body back to full strength.
Something else these riders have taught us here and on other days, that the competitive spirit is the best painkiller there is.
Adrenaline will do amazing things for a racer. Pablo Real, the number 29, sits just in front of Tom Kipp. Pablo running on a Ducati as he has for basically his entire AMA career. Kipp still sliding that rear wheel as he goes down into turn number 1. Smith's bike a lot more stable in that turn, Steve.
Well, I wonder if Mike Smith is real content to run in that second spot right now with the lapper between them. They always say it's harder to lead than it is to follow. And here he can just hope and watch as Tom Kipp may make a mistake that allows him past. There's still a lot of laps to go. Uh-oh, here comes Miguel. He's closed it up even more.
And you can see how shaky his bike was as he set up for the turns. That'll give you an idea how deep he is braking into the corners, because he knows that he's got to catch these guys before he can even deal with passing them. So Miguel is running extremely hard right now as he tries to close up the gap. Once he catches him, he'll back off for a lap or two, cool things back down, let the tires readjust, then he'll set up his attack mode.
But you can tell he's on it much harder than he was in the earlier lap, just by the way the bike is behaving or misbehaving. He's reeling on more throttle earlier, and that's causing it to be a little bit twitchy, but quicker.
I'm not so sure about Mike Smith, though. Mike Smith, you would like to think, is pacing himself right now, but he is so hungry for that first AMA win that Mike Smith is charging all the time. The only problem is Tommy Kipp wants it every bit as bad, and he's charging just as hard.
Miguel, on the yellow bike there, number 17, has got to be one of the greatest physical specimens on a motorcycle out here today, considering what he went through earlier, winning that race, as we told you. You saw how beat up PASCAL, PICOTTE, Thomas Stevens, who ran maybe half of the race, sweat pouring off their brow, physically exhausted. Miguel is still out there.
This has been a great season for Miguel. He won the last 2 races, picking up wins at Mid-Ohio and Road America. His teammate, of course, getting the first win of the year for the Hondas out at Pomona. Miguel spent all last year developing the Harley Davidson. Before that, he was riding with Rob Muzzy, and he did some 500 Grand Prix War stuff. Getting back on this very competitive Honda has been a great rejuvenator for Miguel's racing career. For the first time in a while, he really feels like he stands a chance to win the title.
And well, he should. Well, I'll tell you, lap traffic a huge factor here. Tom Kipp, the number 16 Yamaha, Mike Smith behind him, looking to pick their way around number 46, Kurt Dillman, Eric Moe on the 57 bike, 94 Jim Dickinson. A lot of pressure on those guys. They don't want to be a part of spoiling a victory for somebody, but yet they've got to run their race too. Look how loose Kipp's bike is.
He slides that rear wheel better than Scott Parker, the multi-time Grand National Dirt Tracker, does.
There was a little smoke off the tire that time, just a puff. But that tells you how aggressive he's using his brakes, the throttle, and maybe what's happening to that tire. And as you saw, Miguel DUHAMEL has cut the interval down to 2.8 seconds.
Not a good day. Now Johnny Herbert gets his mirrors filled with Gerhard Berger, who loves racing here at Hockenheim. And of course, last year, going from the pole to go on and win in front of this fanatical crowd. Anybody that's German or even German speaking, next door neighbors in Austria, can get a doppel for the day quite easily. But Berger was 8th, now he's 7th and chasing Johnny Herbert.
28 laps remaining in the race. Michael Schumacher unchallenged out front. The best finish by a German driver in the German Grand Prix since 1950 was Baron Wolfgang von Trips back in 1961 when he finished 2nd, the year Phil Hill took Ferrari to the World Championship over his teammate von Trips.
He was asked earlier on Friday how come Johnny Herbert has such difficulty trying to match his times, and he quite frankly said, this car is nervous, it is difficult to drive, but I have the confidence to run this car on the limit a lot more than Johnny Herbert has. So Schumacher did admit that in fact the car was very nervous. Mark Blundell peels the McLaren away, so Blundell finishes his good weekend, qualified next to Mika Hakkinen for the first time since he got into this McLaren, still on a race-to-race basis. Ran this new development Mercedes engine for the very first time. Mika Hakkinen, you'll remember, ran it in Canada for the first time. This is the latest evolution. And there was smoke coming from that engine cover, so something broke in there. It wasn't the engine. I'm sure it was something else.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the way the press releases will read after the race. Such is life in Formula One. Let's take a look at the top 6 and points. they are running in the race right now. Schumacher first in points, first in the hearts of his countrymen, first in the race. Second in points, Damon Hill, and third, John Alesi, are now out. Johnny Herbert back in sixth. David Coulthard stands to make tremendous hay here this weekend, and that is very important to his Williams team, Derek.
Particularly for the World Constructors Championship, because that's the main thing that Frank Williams is always interested.
From third is a Smokin' Joe's Honda RC45 of Miguel DUHAMEL. Here's the interval clock. Miguel has been closing in rapidly. It's down to 2.4 seconds, and he is on him. Now the question is, how well has Miguel saved his tires as he charged to the front to catch Tom KIPP, our leader? Steve's down in the pits with a look at tire wear.
Everybody talks about tires the last 10 or 15 laps of this race, and they should. Most of the talk is about the rear tire, the drive wheel that is slipping and bouncing off of the bumps. Will it wear out first? A lot of people are worried about the left side of the front tire, but Tom KIPP's Yamaha, for one, has a wider wheel which spreads this out and gives it a bigger contact patch, more rubber on the pavement. It may not wear as fast in one particular spot. We'll keep our eye on it.
Anthony Lupo out of California gets a little close to Tom KIPP as they dive down into the big bend here. Good drive out of the turns and up through the trees, one of the most picturesque portions of this racetrack.
You know, I don't think anybody, Ralph, has been more fun to watch today than Tom KIPP on that Yamaha. As you said, he wants it so badly for himself and the Vance and Hines team, and of course, doesn't hurt to keep Yamaha happy, but he is obviously making a total commitment to trying to win here today at Loudon, whatever it takes, no matter how punishing it may be. And look, here is DUHAMEL. He is around Smith, or is he?
Boy, he took a really aggressive approach through those turns. Smith has him at the stripe. Got him back, Steve.
A bit of a drag race as they come down into turn number one. Miguel DUHAMEL looks to the inside, has to grab some of that front brake.
When you get into the later stages of the race like this and the competition really heats up, the creativity on the lines gets really interesting.
Not to mention the creativity of using those slower riders like 149 Roberto Velez to your advantage. Try to get the guy in front of you, stall behind him, and look, taking the inside line, that is Miguel. He's around Smith. Smith is around Miguel as they trade it back and forth.
I think Miguel's got him now. He's got him by a bike length as they go down into the big sweeper.
And everybody appears to be equally loose right now. From Tom KIPP to Mike Smith to Miguel DUHAMEL, nobody has the kind of traction they had in the opening laps of this race.
At this point, it's going to be a survival issue. Who's got the most left? Who can ride their bike on old tires better?
And physical stamina in this heat. I cannot exaggerate to you what it must feel like to have a leather costume on, a helmet with not a lot of ventilation, and a loose motorcycle that is causing you to exert more physical effort than you might normally have to in this kind of 90-degree heat.
We have a rider down in turn number one. He looks like he has slid off the racetrack. The leaders get through without a problem.
That was 152, Brian Kent. You're right, he's okay. The motorcycle's got a little fiberglass damage, but the rider's just fine. Look at Miguel. He's on the inside. Miguel DUHAMEL will lead for the first time today. The French-Canadian fans go wild. There are thousands of them here. Miguel is always a happy-go-lucky guy, cracking jokes in 2 languages. But here this weekend, he has truly been Lucky Pierre. With all of his friends and family on hand, this is special.
His father, Yvon DUHAMEL, is in the crowd with us as well. His brother Mario racing earlier today with his father. This is a tremendous weekend for Miguel. Quite possibly could become the first Canadian to ever win at Loudon. And Mike Hale still battling with Steve Crevier. And what a great battle this has become. Look at Crevier as he tries to get around the back marker as quick as he can.
Well, no matter where Mike Hale finishes, if he indeed does finish, that will be the miracle of Loudon.
Crevier makes the pass on the slower rider. It's Pablo Real that they're getting around. Now they'll make their way up into the front section of the racetrack. You can hear the crowd cheering in the background. Everybody behind Mike Hale this weekend. Just a tremendous story of courage by this young Texan.
And you can see he raised up there to use his body as a brake, but also to get some more fresh air and to maybe be able to loosen up his upper body just a little bit, his torso. He is taped heavily. And there is Miguel DUHAMEL. Can you say letting it all hang out?
He is doing everything he needs to get out front, stay out front, and possibly win his 3rd race in a row.
Miguel may very well be headed to an AMA 1995 Superbike Championship, and Mike Smith would like to have something to say about that on the Ducati. The Ducati was the mark that won the series last year with Troy Corser, who won here before going on to Europe, which was his life plan, and he's making it work. And Tom KIPP, what can you say about this guy? He has been the showman. He has truly kept us riveted to that number 16 Yamaha.
Miguel sits 3rd in the points. He's 27 points behind his teammate and point leader, Mike HALE. He has a 57th place finish at Daytona, an 11th, a 3rd, and 2 firsts. Maybe 3 in a row here at Loudon today.
Meet the top college rodeo men and women in America.
I'd say it's just another rodeo,
but it's not. It's the College National Finals Rodeo.
Probably one of the biggest rodeos in these young athletes' careers.
This is a high-pressure rodeo.
Meet the next world champions, the 1995 College National Finals Rodeo, Saturday on TNN.
Nothing like it.
At Tom Wood Luxury Car Center, you'll find 5 lines of world-class motor cars. Jaguar, elegant and distinctive. Volvo, safe and durable. Audi, German engineering and value. Porsche, a true sports car with timeless design. Range Rover for the ultimate luxury in 4-wheel drive. So accept our invitation to stop by for a test drive, because with 5 world-class lines in one location, you are assured of competitive pricing.
Does your garage look like this? Well, if it does, then you need to pay a visit to Heartland Industries. We can construct a quality storage building on your lot for just a bit more than those do-it-yourself kits. With prices as low as $4.99, you get strong 2x4 construction and a 25-year siding warranty. And with over 500,000 satisfied customers, Heartland is sure to have a building that will fit your needs. Visit one of our sales lots or an authorized Heartland dealer near you. But hurry, our 20th anniversary celebration sale is for a limited time only.
Back of the Northeast New Hampshire International Speedway, where Doug Chandler, number 10 on the Harley-Davidson, and Freddie Spencer are going at it for the 8th position. Now, when Freddie came in to remove that ace bandage, he was running 2nd. He went out 16th. He may have, well, the quickest lap times on the track, but it won't matter. He's not going to be able to claw his way back up front.
What a shame, though, that he's running this well for 8th place when he should be running this well in the battle for the lead, because Freddie was on his game this weekend. Doug Chandler, he is doing a great job here for the Harley-Davidson crew. He is a former AMA Superbike national champion returning to these wars. We expect he might be the one who puts that Harley on the podium for the first time.
Couldn't agree more. Miguel DUHAMEL out front after a masterful job of pacing not only himself, but the tire on his motorcycle. When he made his move, he made it with authority and is lengthening that distance.
Steve, I can't say enough about the great job that Martin Adams' team has done in putting this Smokin' Joe's bike together. This machine, the RC45 last year, really had a lot of development work that needed to be done. The crew over here in the U.S. was not getting the support they wanted or needed from the factory in Japan, so they took it upon themselves to do all their own testing, their own development work. They kind of went outside of the norm, and they have built one fabulous motorcycle for Mike HALE and Miguel DUHAMEL, and it shows. They've won 3 races already this year.
The same could be said, though, for Geraldo Farace and the Ducati crew. They do not depend necessarily on the technology to come out of Italy. They run their own program. They're very innovative with their machines, with their motors, and they'll flat make it work.
It can all go wrong. He's already a lot longer than Michael.
CREVIER still working Mike HALE. There's KIPP. He's working the back traffic, and Mike Smith is on him again now, Steve.
And Miguel DUHAMEL, our leader, number 17, he is on number 74, Chris Carr, the Harley-Davidson. Miguel puts him a lap down, 5 career Superbike wins. Could be 6 today. What impresses me is Miguel is running harder now, despite the heat, despite running a long race earlier today than maybe anybody out there. The man is a phenomenal specimen.
It's amazing how well you'll do when things are going right. You can overcome adversity a lot easier than when things are going bad. When you're having a tough day, you feel the heat. You feel how tired you are. When you're having a good day, you can ride through anything. And that is exactly what Mike HALE is doing here. Well, I hate to be that guy. Crevier finally gets the move to the inside.
So Crevier gets by Mike HALE for 4th position. He went by that one lapper so fast that darn near blew his helmet off. So Crevier starting to have a little fun now. He's got plenty of traction carrying that front wheel on the 4th gear shift.
I'll tell you one thing about Mike HALE here today, Steve, is he has earned the respect of every one of the other competitors out there. This is his first full season of AMA Superbike racing, so they're learning about Mike HALE, and they're afraid of what they learned here today, and that is that even when he is down for the count, he's one of the toughest guys to beat. Steve Crevier can tell you all about it.
You know, we should talk just a little bit about this facility, and I think I can speak for the entire crew from TNN. This is as nice a racetrack as we go to all year long. We come back this year, the media center has been doubled, the parking lot's paved, the lighting right out of Disney World in the parking lots. Folks, if you ever get a chance to get up to New Hampshire, come see this racetrack. Even if you've been here before, you won't believe what the family has done. Look at the grass, look at the landscaping. It is fabulous.
The front entrance looked more like Churchill Downs than it did any racetrack I'd ever been to.
Absolutely, and the people around here are so proud of this facility. I mean, the little old ladies, the retirees, they're all pumped and all part of the game.
And they love their motorcycles up here, Steve. Hearing reports of some 200,000 people in the area this particular weekend between Weirs Beach over at Lake Winnipesaukee and here at the racetrack in Loudon.
Well, there is number 16 time KIPP. There is Mike Smith right now, both trying to prevent Miguel DUHAMEL from getting so far out in front that there's no hope of catching him, because we are coming up on the closing lap. There's not that much real estate between Miguel and the winner circle. You just saw a yellow flag that is only in that corner. Tom KIPP, there you can see a nasty bump coming back onto the oval. In fact, our camera really can't show you how bumpy this racetrack is. They're subtle, they're ripples, and they beat you and the motorcycle to pieces. Stay with us, we'll be back for the finish.
Here's your Pop-Tart. Another one.
See you after baseball practice.
Got the toaster strudel?
Of course. So when is your mom gonna find out about toaster strudel?
Soon, I hope.
Pillsbury Toaster Strudel is like a Pop-Tart, but better, with layers of flaky pastry, juicy filling, and do-it-yourself icing.
So what do you do with the Pop-Tarts?
Something better just popped up in your grocer's freezer. Pillsbury Toaster Strudel.
Listen up, sprint car fans. It's the biggest night of the year, and these winged warriors are ready to crank it up. TNN Motorsports presents live coverage under the lights of Knoxville, where top names like Dave Blaney, Steve Kinzer, and Andy Hillenberg will be kicking up the dirt. It's the World of Outlaws Amical Knoxville Nationals, live August 19th, 10 p.m., 9 Central on TNN Motorsports. If you think you can take it, and you like it right in your face, then grab your helmet and put on your toughest leathers, because these guys slip, slide, fly, and do whatever it takes to win. Get down and dirty. From Peoria, Illinois, it's the AMA Grand National Dirt Track Series. Saturday, 3 p.m., 2 Central on TNN Motorsports.
I guess every kid dreams about being a racer sometime or another. I never imagined anything like this. You see the fans and how fired up they get? I guess racing's like life to me. You can never really control it. But if you give it everything you got and get a little bit of luck, you're gonna be okay.
TNN Motorsports. It doesn't get any closer.
We're back in Loudon with the laps are winding down. Miguel DUHAMEL looking for his 3rd win in a row. Tom KIPP and Mike Smith giving chase. Up through the trees now and back into the main section of the racetrack.
There is the Yamaha, followed by the Ducati. Fans of motorcycle road racing, you can't ask for more parity than that. You got a Honda out front, a Yamaha in second, a Ducati in third. Pretty good balance, I'd say.
Steve Crevier, the 4-time Canadian Superbike champion, over 11 Canadian titles to his credit, runs back behind them in 4th position.
You know, it's odd. Miguel DUHAMEL, you see his bit there. He's about an hour and a half from his home in Canada. Steve Crevier is about 3 days from his home in Canada, which is in British Columbia on the opposite end of a monstrous country.
Last year, Miguel finished 19th in the Superbike points. That's because he was breaking in the new Harley-Davidson VR1000. He really got into that too. He grew the goatee, the whole deal. He was ready to go. Had the whole Harley look. This year he shaved the goatee, got himself a Honda, and he's challenging for the title.
Yeah, he is a piece of work. He loves movies. He's a real well-rounded guy, which is pretty typical of the French-Canadian population. They like their food, and they like their wine, and they like their music, and there's something else they like a lot too, which I can't think of right now. But there goes Miguel, rubbing that left knee, swapping the weight to the other side of the bike, doing it as well now as he did on the first lap.
Going around Lawrence Banks here, Miguel, a big golfer, doesn't leave home without his clubs, and nowadays doesn't leave home without a copy of Pulp Fiction on a video cassette either. Absolutely loves the movie.
He's a lovable guy, I'm telling you. And it's that attitude, I think, if more riders could just be a little looser like Miguel, it might even help them. And there's a real loose crew. They have won the Loudon Camel Classic, 3rd race in a row on the AMA Superbike Trail, and Miguel is celebrating.
Tom KIPP takes 2nd. Mike Smith holds on for 3rd. Crevier is 4th. Mike HALE finishes in 5th place, Steve. What a great day all the way around for this Smokin' Joe's Honda crew, coming here to Loudon and winning your sponsor's race, the 72nd edition of the Loudon Camel Classic. What a tremendous event as HALE crosses the line.
And you got to feel a little empathy for Freddie Spencer, number 19, who led this race and got beat by a $2 part. Only this time, it was an elastic bandage.
Freddie is on the top of his game. He's going to make a lot more noise before this year is over. Freddie Spencer is a long way from being done.
And let's celebrate with Miguel DUHAMEL.
His father is here, Yvon DUHAMEL. His brother Mario is in the crowd. What a great weekend. A Canadian has won, finally, at Loudon.
Is your poor old elbow running out of elbow grease? Then get serious about stripping with Easy Stripper. Watch how its thousands and thousands of fingers per minute literally eat away old paint right before your eyes. Look out, there's a nail. No problem. Easy Stripper buzzes by without missing a beat. Not like your old paper-powered sander. Why use messy chemicals that turn into toxic slime? Easy Stripper's tensile steel fingers gently yet totally erase old paint with no mess. They strip every corner of this window frame without shattering the glass. Try that with your old paint scraper. Door frame, siding, louvers, nothing beats this incredible tool. Thick, scaly rust like this just wipes away in seconds with no effort. Restore old lawn furniture and save yourself hundreds of dollars. It's gentle enough to refinish fine furniture without damaging it. Easy Stripper will thrash the daylights out of your refinishing chores. How much is this stripping power worth to you? Well, before you answer, listen. You also get the driver, a breakthrough in screwdriver design. Just slip in a screw and it locks in place. The screw can't fall out. Power it in fast and straight without cutting up the surface or yourself. It comes with interchangeable heads to fit most any type screw. Look at this, a depth dial built right in. Set it on number 1 and it leaves the screw raised. On number 7, it countersinks automatically. It's so fast and easy for tiny screws like these or this monster that would twist your wrist off the old way. The driver drives it in. Try that with one of these wimpy cordless wonders. Work above your head without breaking your back. It's the easiest way to drive in a screw, and it's yours with Easy Stripper and this incredible $19.95 offer. Yes, both tools for $19.95. Order now.
For rush delivery, call 1-800-238-9300. That's 1-800-238-9300. Or send $19.95 plus $5.95 shipping to Easy Stripper Plus, P.O. Box 10030, Stamford, Connecticut. Order now. Call 1-800-238-9300. That's 1-800-238-9300.
I guess every kid dreams about being a racer sometime or another. I never imagined anything like this. You see the fans and how fired up they get? I guess racing's like life to me. You can never really control it. But if you give it everything you got and get a little bit of luck, you're going to be okay.
TNN Motorsports. It doesn't get any closer.
The crowd filing out of the grandstands, maybe going to make one more lap of Weirs Beach before they head back home. DUHAMEL the winner, but Mike HALE, what a great ride to finish in 5th place. A look back through the top 10, and the Harleys come in 9th and 10th. Here's Steve down in the victory lane with our winner.
Miguel the Magnificent. Even his own crew says they have never seen him ride like he did today. That fast. Miguel, congratulations. Get a sip of water first. You're going to need that more.
Thank you,
But
sir.
I'll tell you, this Smokin' Joe's Honda was smoking, and so were you.
Oh, what can you say? It's like a dream, you know. I just kept chipping away and trying to catch these guys up. And I knew in my heart we could do it. I mean, the guys work really hard. I work hard. I train all winter just for this occasion.
Was there a time when you were pacing yourself when KIPP was in front of you?
Yeah. Well, actually, when I was behind Stevens, also in Merkel, I just said, okay, your time's going to come. Take your time. But it's kind of hard. I could see the Ducatis pulling away, and I should see KIPP going there, and I'm going, boy, I hope they don't have that much speed left in the end. And thankfully, I had to make some aggressive moves to pass some guys, but Loudon's so tight. And I did so. And that's what gave me the opportunity to come up on top with against all these guys. I mean, they're no small task. These guys are all top caliber racer with, you know, top equipment. And we just got our stuff together better with Al Ludington, Ray Plum, Joey Lombardo, Smokin' Joe Racing, and also, wait a minute, I'm not finished. Okay. Merlin Plumley, and also Bobby Warendorf. They gave me a helping hand since Mike was hurt for the 600 race. I forgot to tell him. So Smokin' Joe is a united crew, and we're winning.
There will be a French-Canadian celebration somewhere in New Hampshire tonight. Ralph?
Well, you know, I've watched you do a lot of dirt track, and I've watched you do a lot of road racing here, and I've always been a fan of yours, but this was really impressive. Not only did you come out here and hold on to your points lead, Mike, you extended your points lead. That has got to help make that pain go away.
Yeah, I got to commend the Smokin' Joe's team for working with me and putting up with me. You know, these injuries, they're part of this sport, and you know, I thank the Lord for helping me out enough to be able to run today. You know, without his help, I couldn't have been here today.
How bad was it really?
This was the toughest race I've ridden, I know that. And, you know, just I'm glad I finished and got points, and got a break before Brainerd the next round and do some healing before that.
Steve, champions are those that can overcome adversity. Mike HALE proved he's a champion today.
Oh, he absolutely did. Let's take a look at the top 6 in points right now after the Loudon Camel Classic. Mike HALE, as I just said, 173 points. He's ahead of Miguel DUHAMEL, Fred Merkel, and Tom KIPP.
Freddie, obviously it was a problem with the wrist. We've seen a lot of wrist pump in motocross and supercross racing. Was it something similar to that?
No, not really. Excuse me. Yesterday, on my wrist, I'm having trouble with things swelling up, and so I put an ace bandage on it after the session this morning, and it just was too tight, and the thing cut off all the circulation in my hand. I couldn't feel anything. And I thought I had it loose enough.
I tell you, it took Mike
but I did,
10 minutes to be
and so I had to come in and take it off, and when I went back out, you know, it felt okay, you know, but, you know, it's just really disappointing, you know, because it was, after I went by Mike, you know, I was really feeling good. You know, the bike and everything else, I didn't know how bad it would get. You know, I didn't know it just would get where I couldn't feel anything, you know, anything. And that's when I had to come in.
Frustrating finish for Freddie Spencer. Here's Steve with Mike Smith.
It took Mike Smith a few moments to collect himself, a drink of water and a cold towel. Awfully hot and a horrible racetrack physically on the rider.
Yeah, this track out here, it's always demanding. It really gets the most out of us guys. We got to be in shape for this thing, and to run 40 laps, it's, you better do your running, and you better do your bicycling. You better come prepared, because past 2 years it's been hot here, buddy. But thank God we were able to put this thing up on the victory circle. This fast by Ferracci Ducati runs. We just ran into a couple little problems out there, and these boys rode good. The Yamaha crew and the Smokin' Joe's crew really ran good.
Get some more fluids.
Thank you.
He's on the rostrum.
The crowd continues to file out of the grandstands here as you look at the official results of the entire field that competed in the 72nd edition of the Loudon Camel Classic. The Harley-Davidson's looking better. 2 top 10s for them. Aaron Yates, we mentioned him at the beginning of the show. The Privateer puts one just outside of the top 10.
And hometown favorite Dale Quarterly, after problems put him at the back, he fell off the bike and still finished right in the middle at 20th.
Scott Zampak on Don Tilley's Privateer Harley comes home 21st. You know, Steve, overall, this was, I think, one of the best Loudon motorcycle classics we've seen in a long time up here.
It certainly had every element you could ask for. Style, color, athleticism, danger goes without saying in this sport. And the best thing about it is nobody suffered any serious injuries.
And the good news is America's hopes for a championship down the road are in great hands with Mike Hale.
A promotional consideration has been provided for and a fee paid by this special offer from Diamond P Sports.
What could follow the 3 volumes of Diamond P's and They Walked Away series? A 4th, and They Walked Away 4, like its predecessors, captures the most perilous moments in recent motorsports history. Unmerciful tumbles, unbelievable flips, falls, and fires, and in every harrowing incident, the driver beats the odds. Once again, man and machine test their mettle through mayhem in over a dozen motorsports disciplines. You can't find this video in stores. You can't rent it. And anyone who has it won't let you beg, borrow, or steal it. Then how do you get your own copy of And They Walked Away 4? Call 1-800-652-8686 or send $24.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to the address on your screen. 1-800-652-8686 or charge it on your Visa, MasterCard, or Discover card.
Well, the track is in New Hampshire, but it's been a Quebec kind of a day. Our congratulations to Miguel DUHAMEL. The American Sports Cavalcade is a production of Diamond P Sports and a presentation of the Nashville Network. Motorcycle racing in Diamond P Sports lost a great friend recently with the untimely death of Karen Hornbecker. We dedicate this program to her memory.
Trucks and tractor power, next on TNN Motorsports. You're enjoying TNN, the heart of country, and your #1 source for country music, entertainment, and information. If you'd like to know more about our programs or guest lineups, call TNN Information Services, 615-883-7000. For tickets, call 615-889-6611.
They've given our generation a label. X. Generation Nothing. They say we have no sense of purpose. They say we have no war to fight and no cause to believe in. Who are they? Join the thousands of us who are making a difference and wear a label that does mean something.
This is what it means to wear the crown at the Allen County Fairgrounds. And for those who've been lucky enough to keep off their lids here, the short-lived peace of mind is over. It's time once again to go to the line in Lima. This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the best in NMRO mud racing. Today, from the Allen County Fairgrounds in Lima, Ohio, it's the Four-Wheel Jamboree Spring Nationals. After heavy early morning rains, the fans here at the Allen County Fairgrounds in Lima, Ohio are bathed in sunshine. It's a bit windy and very humid. But these engines and the mud racers love the moisture in the air. In fact, it seems like we always have intense competition here at Lima. We've had some violent crashes, torn up a lot of iron over the years, and Lima has replaced Bloomsburg as the Lady in Black on the schedule. Here with more on that story is Army Armstrong.
The shutdown area, Gary, is taking the place of the infamous Bloomsburg Wall for providing action in the sport of mud racing like we've never seen before. If Sir Isaac Newton were alive today, we've proven his theory a 2,100-pound car cannot fly. Why do these cars have a tendency to act the way they do at Lima, Ohio? It's real simple. These guys are coming outdoors now. They spent the winter months indoors, running on the shorter tracks where they have an automatic kill system. That's not the case here. Here, you leg the motor, you give it all it's got, you go 180 feet, and then the driver is responsible for doing everything else. The driver really has his hands full here. And talking to the drivers, we asked them to be very honest with us. All the drivers said the same thing. Really, if you blink your eye, it's over at Lima.
All right, there's a good look at starter George Cash as Gary Osteen rolls into the lane. He's driving the Dirty Bird out of Daytona Beach, Florida. He'll be taking on Chris Kane. Notice the different body styles. Now, earlier, Army took a look at some of the fiberglass we'll be seeing in today's competition.
I love the diversity of mud racing. When I talk about diversity, I'm talking about the different body styles. No matter what kind of engine you're running, everybody's got their own preference of body styles. Notice the T over my shoulder? That's for the drivers who like the open type concept. They don't want a roof over them. But the Little Deuce Coupe next to him is on the other side of the slate. That gives the guy a little bit more protection, psychologically, I guess. But we're going to pan on over and show you some of the late model stuff, too. So no matter what type of vehicle you like, there's a class you can race it in mud racing, and it looks like it's going to be Class 5 today.
Well, here's a guy that's come a long way to compete out of Daytona Beach, Florida, Gary Osteen in the Dirty Bird.
Sitting in the other lane, as Osteen relies on Ford 4 horsepower, the new kid on the block, Chris Kane, with the beautiful candy apple prepared 32 Ford Vicky out of Manassas, Virginia, with some of that outlaw horsepower. Our first time to see this kid. Let's see what he's going to do when he pairs up against the old pro out of Daytona Beach, Florida, Gary.
Now remember, they're going against the clock and not against each other as they stage. That's Osteen, the far lane, Kane, the near lane. This is Class 5 competition. Good look at Chris there in the cockpit. Well, Kane had a great hole shot, and he takes the measure on the clock at 2.79. At 2.79, and Olstein's at 3.63, so he won't be too happy with that run.
Now, I'll tell you what, keep in mind, a 3-second run is about the bump spot. Anything quicker than that is a good run, and a 2.79 right out of the box is awfully good for the kid out of Manassas, Virginia.
You can see how messy that shutdown area is. Let's go down trackside and talk with Chris.
Chris, it looked like you were on the right side of the track a little bit. Is there any reason for that, or did the car just kind of wander over there?
That's the way it wanted to go. I just kind of went with it.
They kind of have a mind of their own once you leave that line, don't they?
Yeah, you got to kind of steer it into it, so we did the best we could.
The mud racing continues here in Lima. Stay with us.
Brought to you by 104 Plus Octane Boost. Feel the power.
There's a killer out there. Silent knock.
Today you don't hear the knocks and pings that affect your car's performance. You just lose power.
So long, lost power. Hasta la vista, hesitation.
Let's take this herd north.
Let's go!
Feel the power. 104 Plus Octane Boost.
Splitfire earned a United States patent. Splitfire doesn't look like any other spark plug. And the patented Splitfire doesn't work like any other spark plug.
5 extra horsepower by merely installing these plugs. Quicker in the quarter mile. A 4.8% gain in mileage.
There's nothing like a Splitfire. You'll get more power and more mileage, or your money back. Get the guaranteed Splitfire advantage at leading automotive stores from coast to coast.
So when I turn the key, it sounds like my starter is going bad. So I figured since I heard about AutoZone, it was a good place to try as any, right? But get this. I go in there to buy a starter. The guy tells me we need to test my old one first just to make sure that's not the problem. It turns out that it's a solenoid switch. That one little test saved me a big headache. You know, that AutoZone's all right. And when you get service like that, I mean, you don't forget it.
Here's the real beauty of Rust-Oleum protective coatings.
tough barrier against the elements. Rust-Oleum, the name that means protection.
Jim and Brown, The Ralph Emery Show, Monday.
Welcome back to the Allen County Fairgrounds here in Lima, Ohio, where there is some track surface grooming going on right now. And earlier, Army took a look at track conditions.
Gary, there has been a change in the track at Lima. We're going to try to explain it to you. Number one, the track is still the same length. It's still the same width, side by side. But the depth of the track is where the difference is. Really, you're only looking at about 6 to 8 inches of mud right now. It's real gooey mud. The starting line looks good. It looks like it'll hold the horsepower. But the big story is on the other end of the track. These guys are going to really be able to get up and zing it out the other end. So not as much mud connotates out to much faster runs.
Are you wearing boots down there, Army?
Simpson boots, Gary.
Stressed out. Coming up next, there is Roger Sherwood, and he goes up against Al Stebbins. Rapid Transit.
Stebbins out of Florida. We've had a chance to see him before. Sherwood's a new guy to us. We're kind of keeping an eye on them. Both of them liking that 23 Ford body style we talked about earlier.
Time to beat 279, turned in by Raising Cane, Chris Kane.
Gary, the trick is getting on top of the mud, skipping across of it. That's exactly what Stebbins did.
Roger Sherwood has a 3:18 ET, but coming up a time that will be very difficult to beat today at 2:73 for Al Stebbins in Rapid Transit. Great crowd on hand here in Lima, Ohio, as we show you the replay near lane. Here's the Rapid Transit, and he takes it out of there at 2:73, and here's Army.
The number's 2769. You got to be tickled to death with that.
I think it'll hold. It's a slick track, Army. We detuned the car where it hooked because it was real wet earlier today, and the other guys, the other class, they were having fits with the track. We detuned the car. I hope it'll hold.
Yeah, once again, that number was at 273 as we take a look at the Bandit. This is Tony Farrell making his way to the starting line. And earlier, Army caught up with a guy who's taken his share of lumps here in Lima, Ohio.
Well, the blue ribbon is what all racers like to go out of here with, the checker flag or blue ribbon, but this guy's taken the blues with him for the past 2 years. Tony, not your favorite track to race at, I don't believe.
No, this ain't. This is more like a jinx track to me. You know, last couple years, we went out here, parts tore up. Last year, we put it on stop. You know what they say, third time's a charm. I hope this year we bring home the money.
Let's find out what kind of blue he takes out of here, the blue ribbon, or if the old blues is going to follow him one more time. Back to you, Gary.
Well, he does not want to leave here black and blue, that's for sure, as he takes on Mel Brown. Mel Brown, Red Heat, another rear engine configured car.
Downtown Brown. Everybody's still trying to figure this rear engine concept out. Melvin's been around the sport a long time. Everybody's watching as he progresses with this car.
And Tony Farrell just wants to put that race car back on the trailer with all 4 wheels hanging on it.
That would be a major accomplishment for him. Now, just kick back and listen to this.
Well, is the monkey off his back? Maybe not. He's right side up, but obviously a mechanical problem for Tony Farrell.
It's like a blown head gasket, Gary.
So Farrell at a 310 will have to take it home and then nurse that one as we take a look at Dan Vukovic and Bone Digger taking on Garland Walls in the Gambler. But first, let's talk with Tony Farrell. Here's Army.
Well, this tells the story right here, an indication of a lost cylinder, but you went through on 2 wheels, so it was better than last year, but not as good as you wanted it to be.
Yeah, I'd say we probably just burned a piston, but at least we kept the shiny side up this year, so I can't really complain.
And we go back to the starting line now with Dan Vukovic and Garland Walls. There's the Bone Digger.
Now, Garland's been around a long time. He runs under the sponsorship of the X1R friction fighter people out of Florida, and he can lay down a number for you.
Well, Vukovic had a good run top end, but Garland Walls takes a 346. He did not have a very good hole shot. A 315 for Dan Vukovic, so he really made it up on the top end.
You know, I'm noticing something else. These 23 open cars seem to be the car to be driving today. They are cutting the good numbers. I wonder if there's anything in that body design we talked about earlier.
Well, here's Rob Marshall and beating the odds, a 23 open coupe. Let's go back and talk to Garland Walls.
Garland, it looked like the car made a good move on the starting line and then hooked on you somewhere out there. What happened?
It's got a hard bottom, and it's just blowing the tires away. It's starting to spin real bad.
So it's like no mud at all once you get going?
No mud, dude. I pulled through the line to see if there's any mud. It ain't nothing there. It's just like the hard ground right here.
Well, looking now at split second. That's Jody Nelson staging against Rob Marshall, so this should be a dogfight. Rear engine against a 23 open.
Yeah, but the rear engine car has Power Rangers on it, so you know every kid in the crowd's pulling for it.
Once again, the time to beat a 2:73.
Wow, good lead. Time, Gary, that 23 body style, the open body style seems to work. Sub 3 seconds, 2:99 for Rob. Meanwhile, in the other lane, a 3:36. So the rear engine combination still not worked out in the sport.
Coming back with more. Stay with us.
Brought to you by Prescription Strength Loterman AF for athlete's foot. It's the killer cure.
Athlete's foot. It's a predator made up of many types of fungus that eat your feet alive. You can't just cure some of them. You need a weapon to kill all of them. Loterman AF. Full prescription strength medicine. The brand doctors recommend most. Loterman AF is so powerful, it doesn't just kill some causes, it kills them all. Also available in spray and powder. Loterman AF, the killer cure.
There's a killer out there. Silent knock.
Today, you don't hear the knocks and pings that affect your car's performance. You just lose power.
So long, lost power. Hasta la vista, hesitation.
Let's take this herd north.
Let's go!
Feel the power. 104 Plus Octane Boost.
Here's your Pop-Tart. Another one.
See you after baseball practice.
Got the toaster strudel?
Of course. So when is your mom gonna find out about toaster strudel?
Soon, I hope.
Pillsbury Toaster Strudel is like a Pop-Tart, but better, with layers of flaky pastry, juicy filling, and do-it-yourself icing.
So what do you do with the Pop-Tarts?
Something better just popped up in your grocer's freezer. Pillsbury Toaster Strudel.
Meet the top college rodeo men and women in America.
I'd say it's just another rodeo, but
it's not. It's the College National Finals Rodeo.
Probably one of the biggest rodeos in these young athletes' careers.
this is a high-pressure rodeo.
Meet the next world champions, the 1995 College National Finals Rodeo, Saturday on TNN.
Nothing like it.
If you think you can take it, and you like it right in your face, then grab your helmet and put on your toughest leathers, because these guys slip, slide, fly, and do whatever it takes to win. Get down and dirty. From Peoria, Illinois, it's the AMA Grand National Dirt Track Series. Saturday, 3 p.m. 2 Central on TNN Motorsports.
Hey, that could be the best seat in the house as we say welcome back to the Allen County Fairgrounds here in Lima, Ohio, where Ford trucks present the four-wheel Jamboree Spring Nationals, part of the Special Events Performance Series. Al Stebbins continues to lead at 2.73, and Chris Kane right behind him, then Rob Marshall, Tony Farrell, and Dan Vukovic. Some highlights now from Class 5 competition, a battle of a couple of injected cars. Pete Resig in Magician, taking on Rick Wheeler in Alley-Oop.
Both of these vehicles rely on nitrous oxide to assist them to make their horsepower.
Alley-Oop gets in trouble in the shutdown area with a 387, the Magician, and Rick in Alley-Oop was disqualified.
Yeah, but Alley-Oop was a mean motor scooter and a bad go-getter.
I knew you were going to say that. Dan Harris in Delirious taking on Rick Hollywood Hoffman. And Hollywood smokes an engine going 368. Don Harris might not be too delirious with that 373. Last year's winner in Class 6, Tom Martin, back with the Super Cooper banner, had to back pedal in the near lane, but looks like he's taking good horsepower.
As soon as I took off, it turned to the right, and I had to lift, and then it took off like a rocket. I'm sure it hurt my time pretty bad, but the car felt real good, and that's good.
Hey, and here's something you don't often see. This is actually after the run. David Whitehurst in Psycho, backing up, backs over the Richter scale with Dan Richter, and then adds insult to injury.
He's going to kill our producer for putting this on the air.
Back to the starting line. So far, it's been a pretty tame day here in Lima. Mike Camella in Bonkers. He'll be taking on Mike Yosha in Hyperactive.
Mike Yosha came into the sport, working his way up. He's into the big supercharged motors right there, doing a little bit of a draw hop. He learned that from drag racing. The reason they do it here is to sling the mud out of the tires, not to make them hot, but to actually sling the mud out of the tires on these supercharged engine vehicles.
Well, of course, these guys are running late in the draw. They were unlucky enough to draw later in the competition. Track not perhaps as good as it was. There's the time to beat. A good run by Camella so late in the field, despite looking like he had to lift.
294.
294, yeah.
That's a number. That's a good number.
For this late in the competition.
Yosha, a 323. He could go better if he went earlier in the field, I would bet. Meanwhile, back on the starting grid, Jimmy Carr will be in the near lane in a supercharged Ford vehicle, 23-year model. But in the far lane, a beautiful vehicle, brand new body style, 27 Ford Roadster of the Behrman brothers. And Gary had a chance to look at it earlier today.
Well, the competition had better move over because the Behrman brothers are back in town with Chemical Reaction, the 93-94 Cut Tire champion. Well, of course, Steve and Mike debut a brand new 27 Ford Harwood Roadster. We see these things on the drag strip. Now, keep in mind, this is a new KCD chassis. They've gone to chrome moly, thinking it would be lighter, but the car itself is only about 30 pounds lighter than the old model. They still feature the Otis 510 cubic inch power plant, but the big difference is the position of the cockpit. Notice it's offset to the left. Now, you ask the owners and drivers, Mike and Steve, why? They say, well, it's a better view past the engine. But in reality, that's the way this fiberglass body was molded. So instead of shaving out this area and cutting the body to match the frame, they made the frame to match the body.
You know, you guys at Circle Track are always saying Garrity engines. That's an Audi engine out of New York. I just want to get the engine builder's name right because he can make a whole bunch of horsepower for these guys. These are good kids. They're good for the sport. But the chrome moly tubing, it may give them so much flex that the car won't handle. That could be a problem. It works good in drag racing, but in a lot of other sports, chrome moly does not work.
They almost get together in the shutdown area. Jimmy Carr goes a 303 and never satisfied. And look, there's Al Stebbins. He's looking on with interest. He leads right now.
Yeah, he knew either one of those vehicles potentially could get him. They didn't.
Now watch the replay. The far lane, there's a high spot that Mike Behrman hits. Right here, and now he launches again coming out of the pit. They almost get together, back on the power, turn away from each other. Let's go trackside. Here's Army.
This is mud racing, not hop, skip, and jump, and that's exactly what you did out there. That had to be a spooky ride.
Yeah, it caught the bank a little bit and threw me to the other side.
Okay, but then the car came back again and made another move.
Oh, I nailed it again when I got back in the pit good, straight. It's the best I could do.
The competition continues from Lima. Stay with us. We're coming right back.
It's surprising what happens to people when they take an ICS course. Maxie Williams enrolled in computer programming, just for personal interest. But when he finished the course, he felt so confident that he applied for promotion at work. Well, not only did he get the job, but his salary doubled as well. Donald Green. Now, he thought he'd like working in TV VCR repair, so he enrolled a year ago. Well, today, he has his own business, earning a good living, doing what he enjoys. Elizabeth Granville always dreamed about completing high school. With ICS at-home training, she was able to get her diploma and is now attending college with plans to go on to law school. Why not join the over 10 million men and women who have trained with ICS? It's easy to get a free information package that tells how you can get your diploma or degree by training at home in your spare time with ICS. Just call this number now. Choose from any one of these courses. high school, TV VCR repair, computer programming, auto mechanics, bookkeeping, learning the personal computer, electrician, legal assistant, animal care specialist, interior decorating, child daycare, medical office assistant, computer-assisted bookkeeping, small business management, conservation, catering and gourmet cooking, electronics, air conditioning repair, drafting, hotel restaurant management, fitness and nutrition, PC repair, or get your degree. You can major in business management or accounting. Lyle Tripp uses the computer and materials he received with his PC specialist course every day in his new career. Early Vaughn was really impressed by the brand name equipment that came with his auto mechanics course. The same for Carol Thomas. She took catering gourmet cooking. Why not find out how you can become an ICS success? Call right now for your free information pack.
Call now for the free information Jackie Zeman spoke about. Then decide if you want to train at home for a better career. Call 1-800-272-8800 for free information by return mail. Choose any one of these exciting careers. Call 1-800-272-8800 right now.
Jim and Brown, The Ralph Emery Show, Monday.
The four-wheel jamborees are part of the Special Events Performance Series featuring a weekend of four-wheel fun. Check out the manufacturer's Midway. There's also several categories of show and shine competition. Contact the Special Events Promotion Company to find out when a jamboree will be near your area. Oh, and there is some great-looking hardware on display here in Lima this weekend. Man, a lot of pride, joy, and money tied up in those vehicles. This is one I probably could afford.
Yeah, there's no age limit on fun. Always remember that. That's the beginning of it there, and guys
Put your
like you are the
seatbelt
end
on.
of it.
The kid doesn't have a seatbelt on. Let's take a look now at the current standings. Al Stebbins continues to lead with that earlier run of 2.73. Then Chris Kane continues in second. Mike Camillo, Rob Marshall, and Jimmy Carr rounding out the top five.
More Class 5 highlights. Darren Ovington, the owner of the Port Brothers Express, normally drives indoors only, where the car has an automatic kill switch and the tracks are much shorter. He steps up today to go outside, so we're going to be keeping an eye on him. And right next to him, the guy with the weird hat, none other than Fred Wilhite, and old Freddie is ready. Check it out.
There's a time for Fred in an earlier run at 3:09 and Darren at a 3:46. Now, last year's Class 5 winner, Dan Brown, sporting new colors on his Mind Games vehicle. He's teamed with blower drive service this season. Dan taking on another newcomer to the circuit, Joey Villarreal, Joey Quick. And after this run, Army caught up with Dan Brown.
The track today wouldn't hold the horsepower. It just blew the tires away. He's felt about like a water burnout in the drag racing, you know. So we felt it hook about half track, but it's probably not good enough.
More highlights now. Dan Fuchs living on the edge in the near lane, taking on Gary Reddick in Touch of Madness. Late in the field, Fuchs would net a 3:19. Reddick went out of bounds.
Yeah, but the good side is nobody's flipped so far. But it's not over. As Al Stebbins knows, there's still one or two guys that can drill him big time.
Yeah, one could be the oil well driller. That's what he does as a profession. That's Ron Pence in Tater. He's a former NMRO Cut Tire champion. He takes on Chuck Nolan's stepchild.
On an earlier feature, we talked about body styles, and we actually used Noel's vehicle. But if you look at it, it's a late model vehicle, but he doesn't have any top, and he doesn't have any doors. It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before. Speaking of seen before, everybody is looking at this run. There's your leader in the black shirt.
Al Stebbins continues to lead at a 2:73. The other guys that couldn't match him standing alongside watching the final pair here at Lima, Ohio.
Gary, it's not over. Either one of these guys.
Good run for Tater. Let's check it out. Ron Pence turns in a 2:84. Good enough for third place, but not quick enough for the victory. Al Stebbins is your winner.
Congratulations to you. I tell you what, a good draw and a bad track worked to your advantage today. That early draw helped you, didn't it?
I believe so, but we still pulled an old slick track trick. We actually took off in second. I want to take this time to thank a few sponsors: Gary's Driveline, Larry Ladd done some head work, my engine builder Mike Ford, and last but not least, Bill Barrett does my fuel. If I didn't have them people, we wouldn't be here.
Thanks a lot. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
Indeed, Al takes the victory over Chris Kane, Ron Pence third, Mike Camella, and Rob Marshall rounding out the top five here in Lima, Ohio. Then we had Jimmy Carr, Fred Wilhite, Tony Farrell, Dan Brown, and Dan Vukovic. Our congratulations to Al, and there's his lovely wife, Becky. That wraps it up from Lima. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now here's news of an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports.
What could follow the 3 volumes of Diamond P's and They Walked Away series? A 4th, and They Walked Away 4, like its predecessors, captures the most perilous moments in recent motorsports history. Unmerciful doubles, unbelievable flips, falls, and fires, and in every harrowing incident, the driver beats the odds. Once again, man and machine test their mettle through mayhem in over a dozen motorsports disciplines. You can't find this video in stores. You can't rent it. And anyone who has it won't let you beg, borrow, or steal it. Then how do you get your own copy of And They Walked Away 4? Call 1-800-652-8686 or send $24.95 plus $4 shipping and handling to the address on your screen. 1-800-652-8686 or charge it on your Visa, MasterCard, or Discover card. Call 1-800-652-8686. 1-800-652-8686 or charge it on your Visa, MasterCard, or Discover card.
Sail to the Bahamas with top NASCAR drivers on the December NASCAR Family Cruise on the Big Red Boat.
It's a 4,000-mile battle of speed and endurance when street legal production cars of all types take a 5-day tour of the top tracks in the country. It's the Bridgestone Car and Driver One Lap of America next Sunday on TNN Motorsports.
You're watching TNN, the Nashville Network, the #1 source for country music, entertainment, and information.
Stop just watching TV. Welcome to Sega Channel. It's cable, but you don't watch it, you play it. Your Genesis is hooked up to about 50 games a month, like Sonic and Knuckles, Earthworm Jim, and Super Street Fighter 2. Get secret tips and test drive new games before they're out. Pay what you want for as long as you want for one monthly fee. Sega Channel. Stop just watching TV.
Now on American Cablevision. Call 63-CABLE.
We asked Harry the accountant, what can you get for the cost of 1 day of Comcast cable? How about a pizza, Harry?
Oh, just an 8-foot pizza.
Could you rent a video?
A quarter of one.
Surely an ice cream cone.
Half an ice cream cone.
So, Harry, what's the bottom line?
At around 75 cents a day, cable TV always adds up to a great deal.
Cable TV simply offers the best entertainment money can buy. Dozens of channels 24 hours a day. Take it from Harry.
Comcast Cable. One very sweet deal.
From Municipal Auditorium in Nashville, Tennessee, it's the Bud Light PBR Tour Bullnanza Nashville, sanctioned by the Professional Bull Riders and brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer of the Professional Bull Riders. Bud Light, if you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. Well, from the heart of Music City right here in Nashville, Tennessee, it is Bullnanza Nashville time. Hello, everyone. Dan Miller along with Don Gay, and stop number 8 on the $1995 million PBR Tour that has a nice ring to it. Donnie, this one, $50,000.
Hey, what a bull riding. What a place to have it. I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. The top 30 PBR members. Now, they each rode 2 bulls yesterday. Today, they'll all ride a 3rd one, and then the top 15 come back for the final round. We'll show you as much of round 3 as we can and all of the final go-round. around.
And things are getting very interesting at this time of the year. Let's take a look at the leaderboard for this event. A familiar name, Clint Bronger, sitting atop the leaderboard.
Well, he seems to be healthy and riding well. I like him in the #1 spot, but hey, look out, Tough Hedeman in the #2 slot. J.W. Hart, the youngster, in 3, a tie for 4th with Ted Noose and Roy Dahl. Ty Murray in 6th position, and you know, this is anybody's guess, but I got to stay with the 3-time champ of the world. I got to stay with that.
It's going to be a great event. We are all set for it here in the arena. Back behind the chutes, this gal is always ready for rodeo action. She has the updates and interviews for us. Here is Pam Minnick.
Thanks, Dan. Country music is what Nashville's all about. But this week, Bonanza brings the best bull riders in the world to Nashville, and this action cannot be described in a song. From here behind the chutes, I'll give you a close-up look at these daring athletes. So stay tuned to TNN. Bonanza Nashville begins in just a moment.
Don't get carried away, darling. It's just a song.
The music of George Strait, brought to you by Bud Light.
At Stanley, we test the quality of our sliding mirror doors by opening and closing them over 100,000 times. This doesn't make for great entertainment, but it does make a great closet door. The Accent Mirror Door from Stanley.
Every day, America Online is making it easier for people to live, work, and play.
Hey, Dan, ready for the game?
I can't go to the game today.
What?
I got to send my mom a birthday gift, then book plane tickets for our trip next week, and my kids got to go to the library to look up dinosaurs.
Hey, we can take care of that right now with America Online.
We can?
Yeah, we can send your mom flowers, order those plane tickets. We can even look up dinosaurs in Compton's Encyclopedia.
With America Online, you get instant news and sports, financial updates, online magazines, and easy access to the internet. Call now for your free America Online startup kit and 10 free online hours.
Flowers are sent, plane tickets are booked. Here come the dinosaurs.
That's great.
Downloading's easy. I can even send an email on the internet. We'll check it all out later, after the game.
So how do you get America Online?
Well, that's easy, too. You just call their 800 number.
Call 1-800-293-4100 now for your free America Online startup kit with free software and 10 free online hours. It's everything you need to get online, so call 1-800-293-4100.
To run 300 mile an hour in a quarter mile feels kind of like sitting at a stoplight and get rear-ended at 100 mile an hour by an 18-wheeler.
The NHRA on TNN Motorsports. It doesn't get any closer.
Bud Light PBR Tour, Bonanza, Nashville, Music City, home of TNN. Donnie, we are ready, but we're going to start off with taking a look at some highlights from earlier action in round number 3.
Well, you know they're all here when you see those two guys. But let's look at Lonnie Steverson, and he's riding Alabama Fats. All right, round to the left. Lonnie Steverson in a long, tall, New Hebron, Mississippi. Reverse the turn, loosen up. Pretty good way to start out a bull ride. Man, you see him get whipped back? That's Snidely whiplash there.
That was worth 80 points for Lonnie. Glad to see that because he has had some tough breaks this year. This is Gilbert Carrillo. Again, earlier action, this was on Salty Dog.
Now, he's already been 149 points on 2, and Salty Dog, we've seen some great rides on him, but not this time. No score.
J.W. Hart, earlier from round 3 on Bud Light.
All right, nice little bull, J.W. Hart. Toes turn right straight out. Kid's getting a little confidence. He's riding well. Spur him around there a little bit, makes the whistle, 72 points. Step down, and it's not an optical illusion. Those two bullfighters, identical twins, Donnie and Ronnie Sparks.
We had a chance to talk to J.W. a little bit earlier.
J.W., you're the youngest guy competing here. What do you think about that?
Well, I really think that me being young, that I can maybe stay in here a little longer than these other guys. Maybe 5 or 6 years from now, Tough and Clint and all them guys will be out of here, and I can have it to myself.
Well, like you know, he's got a point. That as a veteran hates to say it.
J.W. Donnie's the first man to ride all 3 bulls, and we're getting set to pick up with action now in round 3. Great crowd on hand here in Nashville. You're looking at Chuck White,
getting set on Loverboy.
Real pretty bull right here. Promised Land, Arkansas. Chuck White, good way to start this off. Not too far away from Nashville. Round to the left. Come on, Chuck. Got a good move there. Down inside, a little bit too far. Stay up. Keep coming. Working the free hand just perfect. That's an excellent bull ride.
Yeah.
That's his mini move. Look at the crowd. Hey, they like their sports in Nashville. Pretty bull.
Chuck to walk a straight line after spinning around like that. He was 83 points earlier. Let's add an 81-point score to that. Total of 164.
All right, one man ridden all three bulls. Chuck White comes out, and this is a good move because his left foot, he doesn't really have a solid hold. He gets down inside, has to come out and go right back in. Excellent bull ride. That's a bull rider's ride right there because he really had to work and did well. Now, the ground is really hard here in Nashville. Take a thumping when you hit it.
We talked about the scores. Let's talk about the judges we have with us tonight, Donnie. The guys with the sharp pencils.
David Glover, national finalist back in the 60s. Good bull rider. Butch Kirby, champion of the world, 1978. I don't want to tell you whose string he broke.
Let's see. It'll come to me here. You're looking at Lynn Upmore, West Texas. He is on Pancake.
All right. Lynn Upmore, West Texas. That's just south of Fort Worth. Not way out west. Good bull right there. Oh, my, he's in trouble. Whirly gig, get away from the horn. Wow. Larry Kephart bull. Now, tough one.
No score for Lynn Upmore.
First time we've seen Lynn at a PBR tour stop, coming in for some injured cowboys. Not easy on the replacements. Down in the well, on the neck. Alan Nelson, Donnie and Ronnie Sparks trying to figure out which way he's going to come out of the storm. Get you another look at this. You want to be a bull rider? All that money, it's all there. All you got to do is ride these bulls.
Have a horn in your ear in the meantime.
Look at that. Oh, wow. He's lucky. Comes out of that in good shape. Alan Nelson, good bullfighter, Arkansas. Ronnie Sparks, one of the champion of the world 2 times. Donnie Sparks, identical twins, and they're identical in ability.
We have Tough Hedeman getting set to ride. He's drawing a bull called Bugsy. Had a chance to talk to Tough just a little earlier.
Tough, you've led the Bud Cup standings all year, and with just 3 PBR events left in the regular season. Are you looking forward to Las Vegas?
Very much so. This is probably the best year I've ever had. Coming back after a year off, I think I probably appreciate it more, and you know, I'm excited. I feel good. I'm healthy, and I'm ready to roll.
Plus, he's averaging about 10 grand per event.
That, you know, I've said it before, nothing heals you up faster than money.